Good afternoon. It is January 3rd, Monday. Trying to do updates Mondays and Fridays at the least. Just kind of keep you in the know about what's going on with HK Ventures and then the Bunker Project nonprofit. So today, driving up to Las Vegas from Phoenix, or Surprise, where I live. Heading up to Vegas to do a couple things. So I'm going to stop by the Bunker Project house and take care of a couple issues. So I'm going to install a reverse osmosis water filtration system, and that will be able to make it so we can get rid of the bottle service we've been paying for. So that'll save us $50 a month there. And then you can also replace one of the rugs. So the rug just inside the entryway, not looking good. It's a 7-foot by about 10-foot rug. Just an IKEA rug. So you got 5 people that come and go. So do that on purpose, buy a cheaper rug, so we can just toss it as it gets destroyed. And this one is quite destroyed. So gonna do that. Those two things: rug and a water filtration system. Then just kind of check up on the house, do some basic asset management, make sure the house is in good order. Might climb up on the roof and spray off the solar panels. Try to do that every once in a while, make sure they're producing well. Check out the Tesla. I may be trading in the Tesla, trying to get a couple more cars. Not too sure. We've got a decent amount of equity in that car. The market for used cars is very strong right now, so it makes sense. Be a good time to sell. So I may do that with the Tesla. I'm not too sure. I'm going to go by the original place, Las Vegas Auto Sports, where I bought that Tesla, and see if I might be interested in trading this out for something a little newer. That one's a 2015, so it'd be nice to have something that's 2018 or newer. And if I could get 2, that would be great. Then we could leave one at the Bunker Project house. I could take the other one and use it for my personal vehicle, and then this truck I can turn over to my buddy Will, who I'm working with to develop as a contractor. And as a contractor, me and him could go into partnership. So basically, I'll just help him set up his contracting business, and in exchange for part ownership, and give him this truck, get him some tools. He already got some, get more. He's already got the skills, and start doing some flips on the side, because syndication is great. So that's one of the things I'm trying to do, is syndicate apartments. That's what HK Ventures is all about, syndicating multifamily 20-plus unit apartments. But on the side, I would also like to build up my own personal net worth, my own personal experience level. And so that's where me and Will can partner. And then I also want to help, bring up my friends, bring up my buddies, get them into real estate, get them kicking on the game. So if I can get him as a contractor, we can start doing a few flips, make some money there, and then he can start buying his own properties and branch off and start building up. And hey, maybe we can syndicate a deal together later down the road. This is what it's all about: bringing each other up, not just myself. That's why I like the idea of syndicating. So you get to include a lot of people, bring a lot of people up together. And that's what capitalism. That's what American capitalism. That's what freedom. Everything that I fought for in Iraq. So that's what it's all about. So at the fourplex, that's where Will is at now. So I'll do another update once I get there and show what we're working on there. But so we're working on, we got flooring that needs to be installed. We got the kitchen cabinets that I'd like to paint. I need to replace all the appliances, and if there's any debris left, I'm gonna get rid of that. Probably replace the vanity and a mirror in the bathroom. And we've discussed maybe moving around some walls to make it into a 2-bedroom possibly, because it's large enough to do that. But that might probably be down the road. So for now, we're just trying to get it rent ready by February 1st, so we can move in a tenant and make about $1,000 a month in profit off of the entire fourplex building, and that will help fund the nonprofit organization sort of indefinitely, as long as that fourplex stands and is producing at least that amount. As long as the house still stands, and it's got student veterans who want to stay there and use it while they go to school. Those two things complement each other and support each other, and just in my head mostly over the last 6-7 years that I've been sort of in charge of it, I guess. I took over in about 2014, 2015, something like that. So, other than that, Diggy Dog's back here relaxing. I will try to do another update once I get to the fourplex and show what we're working on, introduce you to Will, the hopefully contractor, and yeah, kind of follow along, see how business partnerships work out with that, learning about operating agreements, learning about setting up LLCs, building business credit. So yeah, I'll keep going and talking. So for now, this is the easiest way, just kind of going live or just recording these selfie videos, and should get a little better over time. I have paid for Adobe Creative Cloud or Creative Suite, so I've got the whole ability to edit videos and make things a lot better. I realize that's what needs to happen, is you got to be entertaining if you want people to watch your stuff. But mostly, honestly, this isn't really so much about being entertaining. It's mostly sort of about a long resume, if you can think of it that way, that this helps anyone who might be interested in investing with me or going into business with me or selling me a property or anything like that, to kind of see what it is that I do, who I am, because ultimately what I'm realizing in business, you're ultimately selling yourself. It's not just your business name, it's not just your product, especially now where we've got such a huge human population where everything is sort of repeated. There's ain't nothing new under the sun, right? Like, I'm not the first multifamily syndicator, I'm not the first flipper, not the first PhD candidate, not the first combat veteran, none of that. All of it's been done before. There's already other people out there doing the same exact thing. So it really comes down to who you are as a person. What is your individual character? That kind of stuff. So I operate on the golden rule. Been listening to a book. I just finished it right before getting on here. It's called what was it called? The Law of Success or something like that by Napoleon Hill. And they talk about the most important thing is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I'll take that a step further. I heard another part in the book that says, think about others as you would have them think about you. And I think that's even more challenging. So anyway, that's sort of my underlying character, or the general rule of thumb that I'd like to operate off of for everything in life. So anyway, that's about it. I'm just bored driving. So have a good one. So I got 3 missions while we're here this time. So I'm picking up this TV. It was in one of the rooms. It wasn't needed by my roommates, so they stuck it in the shed. So I'm gonna take it back with me and use it for the Airbnb room. Just one more amenity for my Airbnb guests. And then this rug here. Place this. There was a larger one. This is the only one they had at IKEA that was similar. So anyway, replaced that rug. It had a big stain on it just as you came in the door. It was kind of right there in the corner. So just got rid of it. That's one of the benefits of buying stuff from IKEA rugs instead of fancy ones. Just toss it once it gets too trashed. So yeah, house is in good order. Not doing too bad. So the other mission, I guess, was just to get rid of some of my stuff that I left here. So I had some old protein bars and just little random things, magnets that were personal, things like that. And then the main important mission is here. So we got Will, high school buddy, helping me out to install a reverse osmosis water filtration system. So yeah, that's that. So that way it saves some money, because we used to have a water cooler that was right here. So I'm taking that back with me so I can use it for myself, and I'll just do the delivery thing like we were doing here. With 5 people, we'll just go through water way too fast. Not very practical doing the jugs. So let's just install this thing. And with this thing installed, we'll save $50 a month off of those jugs, not having to order them.
This is I think it was about a $400 investment for this system. And then we're saving on labor here with volunteer, awesome volunteer. So yeah, we are looking for volunteers, by the way, for flooring especially. So check this out. This is a problem. Tiles need some work. This is the solution for now. Now here, could really use some volunteer help here, or donation money, one of the two, if we could save up enough in donation money. So for now, we've got, I don't know, a little bit in the savings account, but not quite enough to call in somebody to do all this. So you can see this little lip with almost wheelchair accessible. If it weren't for this little tiny lip right here that's maybe an inch higher, so the floor in there is just a little higher than this living room. So kind of got two living rooms, see? Reading nook and this living room. That's where we host our house meetings. That's all the space really ever gets used for. Yeah, we need to get this level. I'd like to have a floor all one level. We do have a ramp, so we've already got the ramp going. It's not a very good ramp, but it is a ramp. So we're like 99% ADA approved, I think. If we just had that little lip leveled out. And then back here, so you can see we've got the big hallway, big wide doors in the bedrooms. Nice big bathroom directly across from the bedroom. And then this ADA approved bathroom almost. So I think what we're missing is the handles. So we need a nice good handle by the toilet, or something probably across here on the wall, and something in the shower. So getting there. Haven't had a disabled bed yet who needs that kind of thing, but want to be ready just in case we do get someone. So that's pretty much it. I'll get back on when we get over to the fourplex and show you how we're doing there. And that's it. Bye.
Okay, so update for Wednesday. We did the re-signing for Bunker Project House earlier. Brought the mortgage rate down about $200 a month. It's good to skip a couple payments, so we don't have our first payment due until March. So that will help us out with getting through this summer. So we'll be able to save up some of the rent that gets paid until then, and get through the summer when we have the rent forgiveness, our next batch of kind of rent forgiveness to get through. So rent forgiveness covers the breaks when the GI Bill doesn't pay when these guys aren't in school, our veterans. So anyway, I'm over here today for AK Ventures. For-profit side, I've set up the LLC. So I've got a fourplex. So this is a Unit A. So in progress of cleanup. So the last video you couldn't walk through here. There was so much stuff. So we're scraping up the floors. It's pretty bad stuff. Got the dogs hanging out with us. Got a contractor back here working hard. Life is good. This is debris removal. We're getting rid of all the appliances. Gonna cut that out with a Sawzall. I don't have the screws all scripted out, so yeah, no door or anything. So yeah, debris removal. From scooters, I'm not sure. Lots of random things. So, already removed. This is a new mistake. New door. So I own this entire building. So those are the 3 units. Essentially, those 3 garages pay all the bills so far. This 4th unit will be the only profit-producing one, essentially. Removed all these appliances full of cockroaches and bugs and nasty things. None of them work. So that's the update for today. In progress of debris removal. Gonna open up this Unit A's door. So we're gonna do some relabeling here, get some new labels up there, some new lighting outside that doesn't work. Yeah, it's little by little getting this place cleaned up. Value add. All right, take care.
It is January 10th, 2021, and this is the weekly update for the Bunker Project. And
HK Ventures LLC. So the Bunker Project is a 501c3. So I've been posting some updates. I'll link this one into a couple other videos from last week. I've been up in Vegas working on the fourplex I had bought. I wanted to go through some numbers real quick to get you up to speed, sort of where I started with my investing journey to where I am now. So just to kind of go from there to now. So that way it's not so confusing about why am I doing this and where did this start and all that. So in 2014, I bought a house. This was a personal residence. So I bought a house for $182,500. I bought this house using a VA loan, so I only. Fuck, man. Okay, good evening. It is January 10th, 2021, and this is the weekly update for the Bunker Project and HK Ventures LLC. So the Bunker Project is a 501c3. So I've been posting some updates. I'll link this one into a couple other videos from last week. I've been up in Vegas working on the fourplex I had bought. I wanted to go through some numbers real quick to get you up to speed, sort of where I started with my investing journey to where I am now. So just to kind of go from there to now. So that way it's not so confusing about why am I doing this and where did this start and all that. So in 2014, I bought a house. This was a personal residence. So I bought a house for $182,500. I bought this house using a VA loan, so I only had to come up with the earnest money deposit, and I waived my inspection even. I had a girlfriend at the time who worked for a property management or property restoration company, so I just trusted her judgment and her crew, and we didn't do any inspections. Felt fine doing that. That cost me $1,000 in earnest money. So getting started with the first house was actually harder than anything else I've done since then. Just because of this, mindset is everything, right? I had to change my whole mindset around money. So my mindset around money was that money was made to be spent. Coming from the military, that was an okay mindset to have then, because we didn't really have a lot of expenses, as far as like your livelihood. You live in the barracks, you can eat at the chow hall, everything's in walking distance, you don't really need a car. All that. So the only bill I had was my cell phone, really, while I was in the military, and then later got a truck, had a car payment, but for the most part everything was pretty well covered, so didn't really have to get to the point of managing finances all that much. So anyway, so just getting my mindset into the point of like having to build up $5,000 reserve, having to get my debt down, so my debt to income ratio was below 30%. And then saving another $1,000 to put towards the earnest money deposit. That was a big challenge for me then. I was making a $30,000 a year salary at the time. So this was my senior year of college. I had just taken a job at the university to set up a veteran resource center. So at the time, I had been interning or helping out with the Bunker Project 501c3 the professor had set up. And we pitched the idea to the vice president of the college, and he liked the idea, and he already knew that there was this kind of trend with veteran resource centers popping up on campuses anyway. So he said, hey, why don't we pick up this idea for the college? We'll put our own resource center on Western University, and we'll just do it that way and hire you as an employee instead of the college making a donation to this nonprofit and West going and setting up something on our own out in town, outside of the school system was our original plan. So I took that job. That was the last time I had a job, and I was working as the intern or whatever for the nonprofit. And I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll just end up shutting the nonprofit down. Maybe we'll just use it to get into graduate school and then shut it down. That didn't sit with me right, because I don't know. I felt like I'd be like using my brothers, veteran brothers, to kind of stand on their backs to succeed, and that just didn't feel right. So I wanted to continue it and do something with it, but now the college has already picked up our idea, which is great. There's veteran resource centers on almost every college campus now. But now I want to build on that. I want to extend that out and have a student veteran housing program next to all of these colleges
kind of reinforced by the veteran resource centers that are already on those colleges. So that's where the bunker project kind of came about. So anyway, so I move out of that house and I rent it out. And I didn't know anything about real estate, didn't know anything about market rates or any of this stuff. So I rented it out to a single mom and her daughter, or her son, excuse me. And I tried to keep the rent as low as I possibly could, which I thought was helping her out, only to realize later down the road that when it comes time to where you actually need to raise rents because of inflation and things like that, or because of a refinance or just whatever, that can be, if you haven't gradually increased the rents, then it's going to have to be a big jump all at once, which is what the case was for me. So anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. So by 2018, I'd been in Vegas for a couple of years, a while, and decided to get my own house instead of living in the dorm and all that. Test out this whole idea I had for student housing as a pilot project. So I bought a 5-bedroom house, and I bought it for $240,000. This time it cost me $5,000 in earnest money. I think I needed $12,000 or something in savings. What else? I think that was about it. I do think I needed same credit score, 620, just a little bit higher in savings to cover both properties because I have 2 properties. So I need to have reserves for. So $5,000 earnest money. And I had to come up with a $600 inspection. And I learned the hard way on this property to do an inspection, not just a general inspection of the property, but also to scope the pipes. So immediately after I bought this house, it cost me $10,000 in repairs to cut out an 8-foot section of pipe that had roots grown into it. It's old clay pipe. Had I had the pipes scoped properly, including the section that goes from the house to the city street sewer, I would have known that was an issue and could have worked that out with the seller. So that was a costly kind of mistake of trying to save some money on inspections, and it cost me a lot more money in the long run. So anyway, but that was the whole point, starting with just one house, starting with smaller projects, is to make these mistakes at the individual small level. So it's I'm not making these mistakes with anybody else's money. Now I know. Now if it gets to a point of multifamily investing, doing stuff with a team, now I've made those mistakes already, so I know to look out for them in the future. And then we also would have a team who's also has their own experience, their own knowledge, so we can double cross all of our T's and dot our I's and make sure everything is solid. So I bought this house, lived in it for 2 years. Again, it was a VA loan, so it requires 2 years to be my personal residence before I can rent it out or do anything like that with it. So I lived in it for those 2 years. Violated the created a conflict of interest for donations with the nonprofit. So made it a point to say, no, do not donate any money to us because I don't want to get in trouble for a conflict of interest. I don't want anyone to think I'm gaining personally because I was living in the house originally to fix it up, rehab it, and then gradually moved in veterans one by one. But then by 2021 or so, I realized I needed to move out. I needed to clear up that conflict of interest because now I'm ready to start the rent forgiveness program. But in order to do that, we need donations, about $10,000 a year. So February 2021, decided to move into more of an entrepreneurship side, try to get another property for me to move into. But this time I decided, after listening to a few like Bigger Pockets and things, podcasts and whatever, watching some YouTube videos, that multifamily just seemed to make more sense than buying another single family home. This way you can collect rent from 4 people instead of just 1, or instead of having to rent out the rooms and share out the rooms with people living in the same house. At least this way I can live in 1 unit and rent out the other 3, and the other 3 essentially pay for mine. Cover all my bills and stuff. So that was kind of what I was thinking with the 4-plex. So in order to get the money to buy a 4-plex, I refinanced this house from 2014, my first house. So I refinanced it, and I pulled out I tried to pull out $100,000. So I walked away with $92,685. What I walked away from there. So I got a little note here. So with that, I wasn't too sure that the fourplex would necessarily work out, or that it would necessarily end up profitable enough for the bunker project, and it's going to take some time to get to that point of being profitable. I got to fix up some units, got to get people in there paying rent. I technically live in one of the units, even though I'm also here in Vegas, or in Phoenix, staying in a place that my ex owns. So this is my son's mom's condo. So I moved down here because of the rent moratorium that wouldn't allow me to evict anybody. So I could move into one of the units of the fourplex up there in Vegas. It's kind of interesting. They let me buy the fourplex when it was fully occupied with an FHA loan, knowing that there's an FHA loan requirement, that I'm supposed to live there for my first year. But then they also have a federal government regulation that says I can't evict anybody, without violating the moratorium. And then even once the moratorium came up, it took a while to get any kind of resolution from the courts. And then by the time we did get a resolution from the court, we've discovered that the person who was in the unit, they didn't want to face the music, so they just bailed and let, whoever move into it, squatters. And so they went in and completely trashed the unit, left all kinds of garbage, stole a window, the door that goes between the garage and the kitchen, just strange things. So anyway, so that's been one of the challenges, is losing rent for a long time, since June, lost rent, and then dealing with this cleanup and rehab of the units. And then some of the other units were maintained really poorly, so I immediately had to replace an HVAC system on one of the units. That was a good $10,000. And then the windows and doors are all really old and battered, and so I started replacing the doors. That was a good $20,000 just for that. Windows would be another $20,000 once you get to that point. But the doors were of the main importance to me. They were in really bad shape. So replaced 5 doors. So yeah, and then also, so the fourplex, to close on it, so the earnest money, I think I had to come up with, I'm gonna say $10,000 in earnest money for this one, and then another, it's just around $27,000. So I'll say about $40,000 in total. So for 3.5% down payment, because this time I used an FHA loan. I've already used up my VA loans. So 3.5% down payment plus earnest money deposit, about $40,000. So let's say fourplex. This is out of the refinance. Then I formed an LLC. So that's HK Ventures. Formed an LLC. I hired a webmaster to help me build a website. It's still in progress. What else? I trademarked our name. So HKV is trademarked, and that has been approved. So you can't use HK Ventures, or you can use HK Ventures, but you can't use HKV. Then I retained some lawyers for real estate attorney and SEC attorney, and I signed up for a mastermind group, and quite a few mastermind groups actually. And that was because I didn't really know what would necessarily pan out. I just decided, okay, I know entrepreneurship seems to produce more than just a regular job will for me. So I wanted to go into entrepreneurship, but didn't really know, what's going to be the most profitable, what's going to pan out, who's just a scammer as far as these internet gurus, the YouTube gurus go, and who's not. So I just signed up for a bunch of them. I signed up for, I started doing Turo. I started doing Turo a while back when I heard about that. From LC. So with Turo, I wanted to also be able to provide transportation for our veterans at the house. So I wanted to cover as many of their lower level needs as possible. So they just have to focus on school, and all their other needs are met basically. So I bought a Tesla. I bought that for about $38,000, and I put a little bit of down payment, $25,000, into that car. Just because I wanted the payment to be as low as possible, didn't want it to owe as little as possible, just in case Turo didn't pan out to be successful, that we could still afford to keep the car and have it available to the veterans. I may actually end up selling this car now, and then getting another one later on once the economy kind of dips down a little bit, just because the used car market is very high right now. I could probably sell that car for $55,000 pretty easily. Now, the mileage has been kept very low. It only gets driven when it gets rented out. All the veterans for now have cars that stay at the Bunker Project house. So really it's just taking up a space under the carport, not really providing any value to anyone at the house. So it wouldn't be the end of the world to sell it now, and then if we need to get another Tesla down the road, get another one. So anyway, so there's that. What else? So the masterminds covered everything else. So I also signed up for an exotic car hacking or car hacking one, and so that one was learning about like which cars kind of go up in value a little bit. So they come out, they're new, they drop value. But some of them, if they're rare enough and desirable enough, will start to go up in value a little bit over time as some of the other models get wrecked, or they just discontinue producing them, whatever. So that was one of the things I had signed up for. I realized that's just kind of a game for the super rich to be able to drive really expensive cars, and it's not really. I don't know. Sometimes you make money on them, but mostly it's about being able to drive the car, and essentially getting your money back that you made in these heavy duty payments. So getting to drive, a Lamborghini Gallardo for free, essentially. If you buy the right car at the right price and then sell it, well, it's still got enough value in it. Then you just get another one and keep doing the same thing every 6 to 9 months. So that's an interesting, cool kind of thing that I would like to do eventually, but not very practical here in the beginning. So I haven't really done anything with that. Tesla isn't a very hackable car. It's mass production car. It only really works with cars that are limited in production. And then I also signed up for another one about watches. And this one I think this watch is for sale. So I get this one for $1,500. This is a Tag Heuer Aqua Racer Caliber 5. Great watch. Anyway, so starting out with kind of a lower entry level mechanical watch, and trying to move up to, the more expensive ones, with the idea that if you can turn watch trading into an investment strategy, that some of these people are making around $10,000 a month or more just trading watches. So that enticed me, mainly because with watches, a whole lot less paperwork required. It's just a 1099, the Schedule K kind of form, just to report the income. But you're not having to go through all of the inspections and DMV and deal with all this government regulation stuff with watches like you are with cars and houses. Houses trade very slowly, lots and lots of people trying to put their hands in and get a piece of the pie, especially government, lots of regulations. Cars, same thing, got to deal with DMV, so hence why I was attracted to watches. And then $10,000 a month would not only be a good income for myself, but then that gives me plenty to be able to donate over to the Bunker Project and keep the Bunker Project going and be able to grow it, get more properties near other places. But the only thing that's really holding me back from going acquiring more properties, so like we do have about $100,000 in equity in the Bunker Project house. The reason I haven't pulled that out yet is basically because I want to have an employee. I want to have somebody who actually works for the Bunker Project and is focused specifically on the Bunker Project. Whereas for now, it's been me as an entrepreneur with too many plates trying to spin. Kind of like the spinning plate game. And I'm just trying to run around and keep them all going, and not doing a very good job, or I don't know, not doing as good a job as I could if I just had one plate to focus on and just keep it spinning, that kind of thing. So an employee would be awesome, because then they could, just focus just solely on the Bunker Project. So that's where I'm wanting to get to. So I need help with grant writers to do that. So for now, if it's just me funding this thing, then I'm just gonna stick with the one house But if we can get some outside support, then all right, now we start growing and expanding. I think that's how I'm going to do it. So anyway, so that's February 2021. So then by July, I think it was June 28th, when I officially closed on the fourplex. So I closed on the fourplex, and I'm thinking all's going to be well. I got this thing. I've got the fourplex, formed the LLC, got a little bit of money towards the rehab. But right after I buy the fourplex, there's the rental moratorium in effect. I get the squatter situation, and I get this property management company that was having some major staffing problems. So they were really dropping the ball as far as being able to handle anything at the fourplex. A lot of miscommunication as far as who was going to be dealing with what. And that's still an ongoing, trying to figure that one out, how to work with the property management company. The only reason I hired a property management company for a fourplex is because my goal is to keep adding more and more properties, and especially to move up to larger properties that are 20 plus units or more, 20 or more units. And at that level, I'll need to work with a property management company. It's not something I'll be able to do on my own. So self-managing, self-managing at that level just won't be possible. So starting with the property management company here at the small level, again, is just the same thing of, make the mistakes at the small level. Well, it's just my money involved, less at stake. And once I get to that larger level, and you're dealing with a bunch of people's homes, a bunch of people's investment money, stuff like that. So make those mistakes now. So anyway, so I quickly ran through this $92,000. Quickly ran through it. I bought some other stuff too. So I bought like this camera. This is what I should be filming with, but I bought a computer. The computer I had ordered got trashed by the shipping company on the way here. So waiting on an insurance claim for that to show up. Hence why I'm doing the whiteboard instead of the computer setup I've got. Why I don't use that camera, because I want to be able to do it with the Creative Cloud software, but my computer crashes when I open that. So adapt and overcome. Just find another way. So I got the camera, or camera phone. We got the microphone on here, so it's working. So about October of 2021, I decided I'm going to sell this house in Oregon. I didn't want to sell it. I wanted to just hold on to it, keep it in my rental portfolio. But there were a few reasons I needed to sell. So one, I was burning through this money pretty quick. This 92 grand with the fourplex and stuff. Losing money every month. But it's still losing money now by not having one of the units full, and it's got tons of damage and all that. So kind of hemorrhaging money out into this fourplex, and also hemorrhaging money out to the bunker project, because that's still losing. That's also a losing venture. Luckily, we've got a little bit of donations through that. So we'd gotten a check for $1,020 from Network for Goods. That was a fundraiser I had set up over the summer. And I think it closed in August. So that check finally showed up. They're issued like quarterly through Facebook fundraisers. So it's not quick money, but $1,020 really helped. Made the payment for that month for December, and now we've got this January. And as long as during the months when the 4 veterans pay, that pretty much covers all the bills, and I'm able to, if I have to cover a little bit of extra, that's okay. I can do that. So anyway, so by October 2021, I'm running out of money. Kind of not really running out too much, but one of the other issues was this house in Oregon. So I had said before that I rented out to a single mom, and I wanted to keep her rent really low. It's kind of a way of for me giving back, because I grew up with a single mom, and just kind of watching her struggle and work multiple jobs. We always lived in apartments growing up. I never lived in a house until I bought my own house. So it was a way of giving back, I thought I was helping someone out. And so she lived there until 2021, and paid the same rent amount the whole time. Don't think I ever really raised it all that much. And it was about, I don't know, at least a good $1,000, if not more, under market rate. So then by the time I refinanced it, I was just barely breaking even, if not losing a little money each month on that house up in Oregon, because I was still paying for a landscaper. I included all the utilities. So her water bill, electric bill, like I was covering all of it, all in just the one lump payment. That was still $1,000 less than what standard market rate should be. So thought I was doing a good thing, but anyway, by October, I really needed to raise her rent. I really needed to get her rent at least somewhat closer to market rate. And unfortunately, there was some laws that were passed in Oregon that said I couldn't do that. And they had a kind of a rent cap. You can only raise their rent, like I think it was like $150 every 6 months or something like that. It's like, well, if I'm $1,000 below market rate, that's going to take me, years to get up to where it should be. So that wasn't really helping. So the only option to me was to sell. If I had just evicted her, said I'm not going to renew your lease, and then just kind of essentially, nobody evicted her, just didn't renew the lease, so that way I could move in someone else at market rate. I would have had to pay all of her moving costs and things like that I just didn't have to do. And I could have really used that money to continue fixing up the fourplex, which I know I'm glad I did, because I think I would have ran out of money already by now from that first 92, from the first refinance. So I'm still losing money on the fourplex, still losing money on the nonprofit. So I pulled out another. So this time I just sold the house. So I sold it for $390,000. So this is the house I bought for $182,500. So now I sold it for $390,000 after pulling out $100,000 in equity. So I walk away with $89,000. It's October. Walked away with that, $89,000. And so with that, what have I covered? Oh, I've covered quite a bit of the rehab. So I paid off some the windows, and I said the windows, doors, and then just buying a whole bunch of stuff, flooring, paint. Got to buy some window, a couple doors. What else I need? Appliances, some lighting fixtures. Those are destroyed. Garage door openers ripped off. All that kind of stuff. So with that, I've covering just the issues of the losses from the fourplex and then the rehab. That's covered. That's about $65,000 has gone just to the rehab and losing money every month until we can get the place stabilized with the tenants. I also purchased a Chevy Cruze. So to add to Turo, so I'd already been doing the Tesla on Turo, and then I wanted to try see if would it be worth building Turo out to its own little like car rental company. I have a couple veteran friends up in Vegas who were looking for side hustles to get into. So this is a way for us to co-host together and see where that goes. But unfortunately, so far the Cruze has not been rented a single day. I think about that. I had about a month and a half, 2 months now, and it's just sat there in the driveway. So probably going to end up selling that car and just saying Turo is not for us and just focus solely on real estate and watches, I think is the plan. So anyway, the Cruze, $12,000 used car. We went with an economical car. At first I wanted to scale up to the exotic cars, doing the exotic car hacking thing with the rental car agency because it's Vegas, and that's one of the fun things about going to Vegas is, pretend you're 1%er for a day kind of thing. But with the car market the way it is, it just doesn't make sense to go out and pay a huge market adjustment on a used car, knowing that, just a few months from now, the new cars will catch up and all the used car market will crash because the demand won't be there anymore. There'll be new cars that people can go buy. So we focused on the lower end, just the economical car, a cheap car that didn't have a market adjustment added to it or anything. So far it hasn't been rented out. So not too sure if that's just because it's a slow month. It's January, February. We got Omicron, COVID stuff going on. But either way, it hasn't been rented out. So